Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. We will get started here in about a minute just to give people some time to get logged in and settled on Zoom before we get started. While we're waiting, why don't those of you who are here let us know where you are tuning in from in the chat box. Awesome. I'm seeing New York, Chicago, Illinois, Baltimore, Buffalo, Dallas, Portland, Sacramento. It's great to see people tuning in from all over the country. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. I just want to say hello, everyone. Thank you for attending. My name is Sultan Mashriki, and I am the marketing manager here at the Architects newspaper. I'd like to welcome you all to the Specifying with Purpose, an informative approach to design, intent, budget, and window treatment coordination live webinar, a C-Strong webinar series powered by the Architects newspaper. This webinar is sponsored by Hunter Douglas Architectural. This program is registered with the AIA-CES for continuing professional education. Questions related to specific materials, methods, and services will be addressed at the conclusion of this presentation. This webinar is being recorded and can be easily replayed when re-registered on the same webinar registration page. Please allow 7 business days to process certificates of participation and AIA credit reporting for this presentation. Please remember that we do encourage you to ask questions throughout the presentation using the Zoom Q&A button that is found at the bottom of your Zoom windows. Questions will be addressed at the end of the presentation. I'd like to introduce you to today's presenter, Ty Crawford. Ty is the Technical Sales Support Manager at Hunter Douglas Architectural, where he provides technical, automation, and pre-sales support across the brand. He brings over 15 years of experience in the commercial window covering industry, including work with Springs Window Fashions slash Mecca Systems and participation in the R&T show in Germany. Ty's extensive background in commercial window coverings, combined with his hands-on experience supporting complex projects and collaborating with architects, contractors, and manufacturers, uniquely positions him to speak on specifying for Division 12 and effective project management techniques that align design intent with budget and execution. Again, please remember to leave your questions for the speaker in the Q&A window. And without further ado, I'm going to hand it off over to Ty Crawford.
Thank you, Sultan.
Uh, yeah, Ty, we're seeing your screen, but I don't think you're on the first slide.
1 second. Sorry, everyone. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. And I think I might have worked out that technical difficulty. I apologize, everyone.
Yeah, we're good to go now.
How are we doing, Sultan? All right. Thank you very much. And hello, everyone, and welcome to today's CEU presentation, Specifying with Purpose, an informative approach to design intent, budget, and window treatment coordination. My name is Ty Crawford, and I have 18 years of experience in the window coverings industry. I've primarily worked for window covering subcontractor on commercial construction projects of all types, and now have the pleasure of sharing the wonderful world of window coverings with all of you. Before we get started, I always like to start with a quote, and one quote that has stuck with me in my window coverings journey is when the window of opportunity presents itself, don't close the shades. Credits earned on completion of this course will be reported to the AIA CES for AIA members, and certificates of completion for both AIA and non-AIA members are available upon request. This course is registered with AIA CES for continuing professional education. As such, it does not include content that may be deemed or construed to be an approval or endorsement by the AIA, or any material of construction, or any method or manner of handling, using, distributing, or dealing in any material or product. Questions related to specific materials, methods, and services will be addressed at the conclusion of this presentation. Window treatments are integral to both the performance and aesthetics of a space, but specifying them effectively requires more than product knowledge. This webinar offers an informative, practical approach to window treatment specification, guiding participants through the full project lifecycle, from early design intent to final execution. Attendees will learn how to define and apply purposeful design intent, align specifications with budget constraints through value engineering, and coordinate seamlessly with architects, designers, and manufacturers. This course emphasizes proactive planning, clear communication, and documentation strategies that support successful project outcomes. Through real-world examples and common design scenarios, participants will also explore how to solve challenges related to light control, thermal comfort, and aesthetic integration. By the end of this session, attendees will be equipped with the tools and insights needed to specify window treatments that are functional, visually cohesive, and aligned with the project goals. Today, we are going to focus on 4 key points in the journey of specifying window treatments with purpose. We will cover specifying with clear design intent. We will explore budget and value engineering. We'll dive into cross-disciplinary coordination and communication, and look at problem-solving challenges with window treatments. I hope everyone enjoys this presentation and can make specifying window treatments a fun experience. So, without further ado, let the fun of specifying window treatments with purpose begin. Our first key point is specifying with clear design intent. What does this mean? It means identifying the fundamental goals and purposes of a design project, and encompass both functional and aesthetic aspects. When we think of the functionality aspects, we need to think about a few things: the type of project, space within a project, and project sustainability. The project type is going to help drive the clear intent of specifying window treatments. Unique project types include healthcare, ranging from smaller clinics or dentist office to a large hospital or cancer research centers. Office space, whether campus-style office buildings, full building high-rise office spaces, or tenant improvement office spaces. Education, K through 12 public schools with standardized spaces to universities with specialized halls. Multifamily, mid-rise stick-framed apartments with punched window openings, or high-rise concrete slab apartments with window wall or curtain wall. And recreational and entertainment spaces, hotel rooms, conference rooms, and ballrooms, as well as theaters, museums, and open spaces in a sports arena. We have defined some examples of project types. Now we will look at the space within a project. Here are some examples of the space within a project. Hospital rooms. We want to promote recovery by introducing natural light into the patient room and utilize motorization for bedside controls. Classrooms, where a large focus is on occupant safety and privacy during lockdown situations, as well as glare control. Common areas and gymnasiums that typically include larger curtain walls or higher up windows requiring motorization and may incorporate automation or third-party integration. Open office space to control glare for workspaces while allowing natural light into the space. A focus on light penetration can be uniformly controlled with motorization and automation. And conference and meeting rooms that often require dual shades for glare control and room darkening, especially for presenting purposes. Interfacing a third-party integration is a common practice in this kind of space. In some cases, it is this project sustainability that serves as clear intent to specify. Sustainability is often considered with project type and spaces within the project. Some examples include light harvesting, which provides introduction of natural light into a space to reduce artificial lighting and power consumption. Building management systems will combine the shades with a BMS system so that HVAC, lighting, and window treatments work together to maximize building efficiency. Automation will incorporate light harvesting practices to automatically adjust the shades to a determined light penetration level. Additional sensors and computer software calculations, such as time of year and time of day, can be programmed to control shade position. Integration, such as smart buildings and digital buildings using advanced power over Ethernet technology, as well as incorporating scenes and timing functions. And material composition. Material composition is often a consideration where PVC-free materials are required in a specific project environment. Encompassing the aesthetic aspects of specifying with clear design intent, we think about material selection, material accessories, and material configurations. Aesthetics are often tied to material and color selections. Some examples include the roller shade fabric type. There are several different types of roller shade fabrics. Fabrics vary in weave, openness, color, and composition. Fabrics also exhibit different performance factors depending on the combination of the options selected. The roller shade fabric color and openness. Fabric color is a huge part of the aesthetics aspect of a project. One key point is that darker colored fabrics allow for more view through, where a lighter colored fabric will be brighter in a space. The openness factor will determine how much light passes through the fabric and is determined in a percentage, for example, 3 or 5% openness. The fabric openness typically ranges between 0% that are completely opaque and up to 10% or more depending on the manufacturer. Roller shade fabric composition. Fabric composition is critical when considering the performance of the fabric. Some fabrics have a higher acoustical rating based on composition, and some offer more stability to achieve larger shade sizing. Fabric composition can also attribute to reflective and heat gain, including some fabrics with specialized coatings to maximize these efficiencies. The composition of a fabric can also play into sustainability with PVC-free fabrics composed of TPO or recycled content. A majority of fabrics in the industry are composed of PVC-coated fiberglass or PVC-coated polyester. Different accessories for window treatments are also a key component to the aesthetic aspect. What roller shade top treatment meets the design intent? Shades have many different options, including open roll with end caps, fascia to cover the front and bottom, rear fascia to cover the back, surface and recessed pocket to cover the front, top, back, and bottom, and closure mount with closure used for built-out pockets to cover the bottom. How to choose hem bar options. There can be different variations of hem bar. Typically, the hem bar will be welded into a pocket of fabric at the bottom of the shade. There are also exposed extruded aluminum hem bars that are painted to match standard accessory finishes. Exposed hem bars are sometimes required when a fabric cannot be welded due to fabric composition. Valance options for blinds and verticals. A valance can be selected to cover the head rail of a horizontal or vertical blind. There can be multiple styles of valances and finishes, depending on the type of blind specified. And what bottom bar to use. The bottom bar can be selected on a blind to match the preferred operation or style, depending on the manufacturer. Material configuration plays a role in the aesthetic aspect of a project. Roller shade, horizontal blind, and vertical blind sizing. The size of each product will determine the look and feel of the window treatments. This comes up especially when considering spanning multiple panels of glass. For example, a window that has 3 panels of glass, but is too wide for one roller shade. The question comes up whether or not to put 2 shades, one wider and one narrower, or to put 3 equal-sized shades. Roller shade coupling. Coupling roller shades is a great option when there are multiple shade panels in a window. This is done sometimes to keep chains from being in the middle of the window or to keep the shade operation uniformed. Material limitations. It is important to review the material that is specified to see if there are any limitations. Things to consider are the fabric width off the bolt and if it can be turned and seamed. There are also minimum and maximum widths based on the hardware that will drive the configuration of the window treatments. And what are our mounting options? Depending on the site condition, the mounting option will have an impact on the aesthetics. Choosing between inside mount or outside mount will determine how much coverage you get from the window covering. It can also have an impact on the accessories. For example, an inside mount roller shade may require side channels to eliminate light gaps. And that covers our first key point, specifying with clear design intent. I would like to pause for a moment and ask a question to the group. And there will be a pop-up that comes up. The question is, what two aspects are we thinking about when specifying with clear design intent? And I look forward to seeing your answers. I'll give it about 10 more seconds here. All right. Thank you for chiming in on that. And with my best Bob Barker here, game show host, if you chose function and aesthetics, you are absolutely correct. The second key point we are covering today is align budget with specification and value engineering. The specification is going to be a huge part of the budget of a project. We are going to look at aligning budget with clear design intent and value engineering options that align with the design intent. Things to consider when looking at budget and value engineering are product selection, product operation, product accessories, and product configuration. Diving into how the product selection relates to budget, we want to look at the required product for the type of project. For example, Class A office space, where roller shades are required and aluminum mini blinds are not an acceptable product. We also want to understand what other products are considered as an acceptable alternative? Perhaps there is a manufacturer's proprietary fabric specified, and a like fabric is an acceptable alternative. And in some cases, there may be a non-specified voluntary value engineering option. In this case, there may be a consideration of using an exclusive value fabric in place of the specified material. Or perhaps there's an option to move to a horizontal product in place of a roller product. Product operation is a key factor to budget. In some cases, the budget will need to call for all the bells and whistles. Some projects will be very basic, and some may be a hybrid. Operations options include motorization with full automation, allowing the shades to operate on a fully automated control system, or motorization with standalone local control, where the shades will only operate with a local keypad and there is no automated system, or manual operation in place of motorization, which is the most basic and budget-friendly form of operation. There are many options when it comes to product accessories, which is great when thinking about budget. These are a few things to consider when thinking about the product accessories. Of course, accessories that meet the project aesthetics. There may be situations where a recessed pocket is going to better suit the aesthetics of a project, and the budget will need to align with pocket as the product accessory. Are there acceptable alternative accessories? Perhaps the recessed pocket is built out and painted, and there is a possibility to use closure mount in lieu of a full pocket. You can also consider any optional accessories that meet the design intent, such as using fascia and not having a recessed pocket at all. The product, you also want to consider the product configuration and how it relates to budget. Things to keep in mind are coupling materials. This will play a major role, especially with motorized shades. Reducing the motor count by coupling shades will save money on shade motors and also reduces the amount of wiring and J-boxes needed on a project. Think about the sizing of the material as well. As a general rule, one really wide shade can end up costing more than two smaller shades that make up the same size. This is due to larger hardware, tubes, and labor if the fabric needs to be turned and seamed. For really tall shades, is there a possibility to use uppers and lowers? And think about the mounting options. Given the example where there are uppers and lowers, it may be more budget friendly to do outside mount so a single shade can cover both upper and lower glazing. And that concludes our second key point of the presentation: align specification with budget and value engineering. We will take another quick pause here for another question and look forward to seeing everyone respond in the pop-up. The question is which of the following are good examples of acceptable value engineering options. A, using an exclusive value fabric. B, changing the operation of the product. C, changing from roller shades to horizontals or metals. Or D, all of the above. And 5 more seconds here. And I know we've got a bunch of sharp individuals on this call, and I'm sure you selected D, all of the above. The third key point we have in today's presentation is cross-disciplinary coordination and communication. This is fundamental in specifying with clear design intent. The pooling of expertise, experiences, and knowledge bases to exchange pertinent information with key team members is essential to a successful specification. The considerations for this key point are key team members and associated trades. Who needs to be a part of the discussion? Coordination timing. When does the communication and coordination take place? Product training and requirements. Who needs to know what about the product and scope? And documentation. What documents need to be shared and with who? Coordinating a specification will require a group effort made up of key team members. Naturally, it will start with the architect or designer, and this person will take point on the coordination and communication process and will ultimately distribute the final documents. At some point, an architect may have been consulted by a manufacturer, sales manager, or representative, or they have reached out to them with questions on materials or requested samples. And oftentimes, an architect will incorporate the shade dealer to coordinate product configuration and how to interface the product with site-specific conditions. When motorization is present, it is best to get the electrical engineer involved, so the electrical drawings are in alignment with the specified control system. And if there is a general contractor involved, they should also be part of this coordination effort. They can involve other subcontractors on the project, such as the electrician or the drywall framer. Determining the key team members might be based on the coordination timing. Depending on where the project is in the project lifecycle, there may be limited key team members. If a project is in early budget stage, there may be high-level conversations about placeholder materials and high-level budget coordination. Moving into a conceptual design could tighten up the spec and have more involvement with added key team members. As design development comes around, the spec should be fairly solid, and most key team members are involved in the coordination and communication process. And by the time the contract documents are released, the specification should be locked in, and all key team members have been involved in the coordination and communication efforts. As a project is coming together, there may be some product training needed for what is required for the project. In some cases, the architect may have never specified shades before and needs to understand the operating system, components, and accessories to properly filter the spec. There may also need to be training on the controls to determine what electrical components are going to be included in the specification. Once the controls are determined, communication and coordination regarding the wiring should happen so there is not any piece of the system missing. And a major point of coordination is the substrate requirements. This ensures that there is proper blocking or backing in place and will help determine the mounting conditions for the product. Coordinating and communicating is made easiest when the right documentation is shared. Documents make communicating very clear and help reduce any confusion or misinterpretations. Referencing the product data sheets for materials gives clear direction on what is available or included with the product and could be a huge help in specifying with clear intent. When motorization is being used, a site-specific wiring diagram is often required. For extensive motorized shade projects that may include full building automation, it is recommended that the electrical drawings are designed properly to meet the system requirements. Product section cut details are critical to showing the mounting intent of the product. These will also show what is required for backing to mount the product. And we want to focus on specification and drawing alignment. Some projects may require multiple shade types or multiple top treatments. The specification needs to be clear in calling out different shade types and top treatments, and the drawings need to clearly show the intended locations for the different shade types and details. This will give confidence to the team and ensure a complete and accurate scope. We have completed the third key point, cross-disciplinary coordination and communication, which I personally think is one of the funner things about the job. And before we jump into the last key point of the presentation, we would like to get your thoughts with another question. Can you name a key stakeholder that is necessary for successful cross-disciplinary coordination that we did not mention in this presentation? Excuse me. All right, I'm sure there's a ton of great suggestions and ideas coming in related to this question. And we certainly appreciate the feedback. Moving on, I would like to take a quick look at a project case study that required a tremendous amount of coordination and communication. This is the American Airlines project located in Dallas, Texas. The design challenges for this project included 50-foot tall ceilings, custom shaped shades that are tapered and sloped, and intermediate hem bars to keep the shades from sagging onto the glass that were specially designed to retract with the shades. The design intent for this project was for the facade of the building to look like the blades of a turbine jet engine. This is a great example of how we take design challenges and incorporate coordination and communication efforts to build a successful project. All right, we've made it to the fourth and final key point in this presentation. Problem-solving design challenges with window coverings. We will focus on identifying and defining problems and challenges and forming a strategy to overcome problems and challenges. Problem solving and challenge considerations can include a variety of things, but there are things we can focus on to help prevent or solve these challenges. Specification clarity will help ensure the correct materials and accessories. Drawing information and details will give guidance on product locations and product mounting. Trade overlap alignment allows for open communication and coordination. And looking at proactive responsibilities to avoid any potential scope gap. Specification clarity is the starting point to problem solving. A clear spec is going to eliminate any confusion and give proper instructions on product selection. What does this project require for product? Product operation and controls. How is this product going to function? Product accessories. What options are going to be included with the product? And related trades and what their responsibility is to the scope. We want to look at drawing information and details as a point of problem solving. A lot of times, the window covering scope is addressed late in the project lifecycle, and there is not enough direction in the specification and drawings to establish a clear scope. Shade type and location callouts are very helpful. They provide clarity on where the product is supposed to go. For example, shade type 1 in open office and shade type 2 in conference rooms. Shade mounting and section details are needed when different types of top treatment are on a project. There may be a pocket located at the exterior windows of a classroom, but the interior relights require fascia. Showing shade wiring and control requirements will avoid issues with wiring being missed by other trades. I've seen several examples of low voltage wiring being completely missed on projects. Alternatives or optional requirements are important to know and list up front. This can include motorized option versus manual in certain areas, or spaces within a project that could potentially need covered. And it is critical to have the drawing set in alignment with the specification. When the two align, it gives absolute clarity to the design intent. Problem solving is best done up front. By allowing trade overlap, it greatly reduces the possibility for larger problems later. We can align trades by creating a responsibility checklist, which will outline which trade will be responsible for every part of the scope. An example of this would be the wiring for motorized shades and the required backing or framing. The responsibility checklist will also promote related trade coordination, which is essential in problem solving. While related trades are coordinating, we can confirm that all required wiring and controls will be included. And at the same time, we can confirm that all mounting and backing conditions are understood and provided. The biggest challenge in problem solving is when there is scope gap involved and who is responsible. By problem solving early in the process, it saves everyone time, energy, and money later down the road. A few examples that I have seen are lack of clarity for accessories, where many different accessories are specified and the drawing set does not indicate what is really required. For example, both fascia and pocket are specified. The fascia is the cheaper option, but pocket is really required. There is also risk of contradicting controls. Defining the control system will help specify what is required for the project. In some cases, there have been specifications that have every option listed, like handheld remote, IR remote, sun sensor, timer, and wall switch. Not all of these controls work together, and if the wrong controls are provided, it can create an issue. It is important to assign responsibility accordingly so that a large portion of the scope does not end up getting missed. It happens a lot where it is assumed that the shade dealer is providing or installing wiring, and the electrician does not pick it up in their scope. This will create conflict on a project and does not promote problem solving. And in order to be sure we are problem solving to prevent scope gap, we need to confirm all related trades are aware of their responsibilities to the scope. We have made it to the end of our fourth and final key point. We have one more question for you. Can you list one of the problem solving design challenge considerations? We'll give it a couple more seconds here. And I'm sure when it comes to window coverings, you have all experienced some of these problem solving design challenge considerations. And what we're looking for here is specification clarity, drawing information in details, trade overlap alignment, and scope gap and responsibility potential. We want to look at another case study here, and design challenges come in different forms. And in this case study, the challenge was to cover a large and arched window. And with proactive problem solving, it allowed for proper design and engineering of 10 angled top shades to follow the arch. With the space in mind, these shades incorporate sun sensor technology to react with the sun's movement. And I want to say thank you, everyone, for joining in this CEU presentation today. I hope you all were able to learn something new and you are able to incorporate that into your work. Before we open the floor to questions, I just want to wish everyone a great rest of your day. And thanks again very much for joining us.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Ty. Yeah, if anyone does have any questions, please start dropping those in now in the chat or the Q&A. I'm just going to answer this quickly, Ty, because a few questions did come in regards to how people are getting their certificates of completion. Your attendance was automatically recorded here on Zoom. So everyone will receive their certificate within 7 business days sent to the email that was used for you to register for this. So just keep an eye out for that email. And with that, let's go ahead and get to some questions. The first one I'm seeing here from Jane is asking, what is the maximum height to width that a shade can operate effectively?
That is a great question. And you said that was from Jane?
Yeah, it's in the Q&A tab.
Okay. Maybe I need to stop sharing my screen to see.
Yeah, you can stop your screen share if you want. And then,
Okay, so great question, Jane. The general rule for width and height sizing is going to be a 4-to-1 ratio. So, and that's let's say you have a 30-inch wide shade, 120-inch drop is going to be about a max drop. And that's true in a general rule. You can also incorporate other things like battens that will allow you to get more height with narrower shades. In terms of configuring a shade, which I use the word configure in how am I going to size the shade for width and height. Motorized shades coupled, I'll max out usually around 300 square feet. Again, Sultan, is this the point in time where I can go into some specifics
yeah, we have
regarding
some
Hunter
time.
Douglas products?
Yeah, of course.
Hunter Douglas will go up to 360 inches wide in coupled motorized shades, up to 6 panels. So when you're looking at coupling shades, you can couple up to 6 panels, up to that 30-foot wide range. Again, maximum, I usually don't exceed 300 square feet. And then when you're looking at maximum panel widths, uh, we want to incorporate what the material is that you're specifying. So a lot of fabrics are going to be 118-inch goods or 126. Some are limited to 98-inch goods. So you might be limited to an 8-foot wide panel. And in general, I wouldn't exceed a 10-foot wide panel, just because of that consideration earlier surrounding budget. 2 5-foot wide shade panels are likely going to be less in cost just because they can use a smaller hardware.
Okay, great. Um, Question from Elaine here asking, is it true that Hunter Douglas is no longer manufacturing side channels for blackout shades?
Um, that is definitely not a true statement. Not only do we have blackout channels available for uh, our shades, but we also offer a complete system called blockout, which when you specify a blockout system, it also includes the rear fascia, um, and then our RB500 bottom bar with wool pile is standard in that system. So um, we most definitely offer uh, side channels, and we have a center channel as well, um, which I refer to side channels as more of a U-shaped, where our center channel will be an H, um, as if you were looking down from the top. Uh, so we most definitely do offer those accessories with our products.
Great. Question here from Angel. Can roller shades be combined with hurricane protection?
Uh, Absolutely. There are roller shade systems available in the market that offer a certain level of wind, wind rating. Um, I know one of our counterparts, based out of Florida, does have roller shades, that are exterior roller shades with some ratings that, well, I don't know if it's considered hurricane rating, but they are rated to withstand certain amounts of wind loads.
Great. Another question from Elaine here. Can Hunter Douglas window shade submittals include location of pull chain hardware?
Um, I suppose they could, and that would be a question more for the shade dealer, as Hunter Douglas doesn't necessarily, we don't necessarily put the submittal package together. Um, in my experience from the dealer side, uh, we would often include that in our roller shade schedule. So the schedule would lay out room location, shade type, um, and we would indicate chain pull location on that particular shade in that particular room. Um, as a side note to that, it's also very important to include motor position on your roller shade schedule, because that's going to give direction to the general contractor and electrician on which side the J box is going to need to be located. Um, but as far as a Hunter Douglas approach to that, um, we would essentially just encourage our shade dealers to include that information in their roller shade schedule in the dealer's submittal um, for the project.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Ty. Unfortunately, it looks like we've come up over the hour, so we're going to have to wrap up. Is there anything else you would like to say before we end for the day?
Uh, no, once again, thank you so much on behalf of Hunter Douglas and myself. This is the first CEU that I've ever done, and I certainly appreciate everyone's comments and questions and your time today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ty. You were great. We hope to see you at a future one.
Absolutely, I look forward to it.
Thank you. Okay, everyone. Thank you all so much for attending this live webinar. Again, this was Specifying with Purpose, an informative approach to design intent, budget, and window treatment coordination, a CE Strong webinar series powered by the Architects newspaper. Again, this webinar was sponsored by Hunter Douglas Architectural. This webinar is being recorded and can be easily replayed using the same registration link. Please allow 7 business days to process your certificates of participation and AIA credit reporting for this presentation. Another big thank you again to our presenter, Ty Crawford, and to Hunter Douglas for sponsoring this webinar. We hope to see you all again at a future event. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.